And welcome back to World Talks. I'm Anna Jabłońska. Now, about U.S. presidential elections, I am being joined by Albert Coll, professor at DePaul University College of Law. Hello, sir. Thank you very much for joining me.
It's wonderful to be here with you.
Now, we just saw the ad from Kamala Harris, which just aired hours ago. What do you make of it? Very powerful.
Well, she definitely is going to hit the theme that she represents change. She's younger than Trump, and that she will put forth a positive message that emphasizes the freedom of women to have abortions, the freedom of people of different sexual identities to choose those identities. And she will try to paint Donald Trump as a very dark figure from the past, somebody who's always bitter, who's always calling names, whereas she represents a positive vision for the country. That's going to be her message.
So would you say that the change worked out well for the Democratic Party after all?
I think, number one, it worked out well because I think anybody would have helped the Democrats other than Joe Biden. It was very clear that the president no longer was capable physically or mentally to do the job and to do it for the next 4 years. So part of what explains Kamala Harris's tremendous resurgence of popularity is the fact that the overwhelming majority of Democrats are vastly relieved that Mr. Biden has stepped down and that they have somebody who can hold her own against Donald Trump in a debate and who will be able to prosecute the case against Trump much more effectively than President Biden would have done.
Mm-hmm. Now, speaking of Donald Trump, I mean, he ridiculed Joe Biden and his campaign team. Now, do you think he was surprised that actually Joe Biden withdrew from the race and Kamala Harris is in it? Do you think they expected that?
Well, I think that if he was being advised by smart people, they would have told him that the Democrats were going to get rid of Joe Biden. You know, the Democrats, like any political party, want to stay in power. And it was very clear after that disastrous debate of June 27th that Mr. Biden was going to lose the election. So any idea that Biden would just hang on till November, I think, was sheer fantasy. Supposedly, some of the Republican strategists were planning for Kamala Harris to be the opponent. But over the past week, they have fallen flat-footed. I mean, they have not been able to handle her candidacy skillfully at all. Trump has gone on this typical style of just calling names and saying terrible things about her, but that's not going to bring on any voters on his side. I think what he would need to do is to lay out the arguments, and by the way, there are plenty of arguments as to why Harris would not be a good president of the United States. But if he doesn't do that, if he just keeps calling her names, he's actually also going to turn off a lot of voters in the middle, and he's going to wind up offending a lot of not only African-American voters, but also a lot of American women, with whom Donald Trump, by the way, does not do very well. So Donald Trump right now, over the past few days, over the past week, has blown the tremendous advantage that he enjoyed as short ago as a week ago. You know, his nomination speech at the Republican convention was a missed opportunity to portray himself as a great statesman, as somebody who had been genuinely changed by the assassination attempt. It was a meandering 90-minute speech, 30 minutes into which he went on and on, lost track, lost tangent, and really did not make a very good case as to why those undecided voters in the middle should support him and not the Democrats. So right now, Mr. Trump is not on a good track.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, to your point, when the assassination attempt happened, media throughout the political spectrum in the United States, actually the whole world, was talking about it with respect, I would say, with high respect, and everybody was thankful that he is fine. But it seems that calmed down, that nobody right now is speaking about that assassination attempt, and he is, if I may say, on his own, when it comes to policies and his campaign. What do you think?
Well, he squandered a great opportunity. I mean, I think that he had a great opportunity after the assassination attempt to say, look, I'm a changed person. and I do want to be the president who unites the country. He said that for the next 72 hours or so, 4 or 5 days after the assassination attempt. But a week later, he is back to being the old Trump, calling names and simply not laying out a persuasive case against why somebody like Kamala Harris is somebody who will not be good for the country. And on that, he would have to go on the issues and just make a very detailed case on the issues, be very disciplined, very focused. That is something that does not come naturally to him. And it came naturally to him in the debate with Joe Biden, but it's not coming naturally to him right now. And it could very well wind up costing him the election. By the way, he will be debating Kamala Harris. And unless he is very disciplined and sticks very closely to attacking her on the issues, on her past positions, and on various weaknesses that she has in terms of policy and on views that are not very popular with the American people, he's going to lose that debate, and it will only get worse after that.
Well, speaking of that, about Kamala Harris and her record when it comes to vice president, she was responsible, she was called responsible for the situation at the border and other things. How would you assess her past as vice president?
Terrible record. I mean, terrible record. She was made the border czar. President Biden basically said, look, this is an issue that is going to be yours, and I want you to take care of it. And for the past 3 years, the border has been a disaster. Both our friends and our enemies are amazed at how the United States has right now basically open borders on its southern border with Mexico. We have had millions of persons come into this country, many of whom we really don't know who they are really. And this is a total disaster. And Kamala Harris was supposed to be in charge of taking care of it. So obviously, we didn't want, people didn't want inhumane policies, but also the American people do not want an open border. They want immigration, but they want immigration that is legal, that is regulated, in which the American people, through their laws and the laws that our publicly elected representatives have made, we decide who gets to come in and who doesn't come in. So the border is chaos. The second issue in which Kamala Harris has been very weak has been on foreign policy. Often vice presidents take initiatives, take the lead on various foreign policy issues delegated to them by the president. And she has not caught a very impressive figure in her meetings with foreign heads of state and other people. So again, this could be an opening for Trump to say, she's a smart woman, clearly, but she just doesn't have the savviness that you need to handle the relationships and the tremendous responsibilities the United States has on the international scene, particularly when you deal with very tough characters like Vladimir Putin, Xi Jinping, and Kim Jong-un.
Especially, the memes are not doing her any favors. So do you think that the first woman, the first Black American, and the first South Asian American, is this going to carry her till November?
Well, I think she definitely has created a big surge of enthusiasm. I think a lot of people are going to vote for her precisely for that reason. She's going to get a lot of African-American support. She's going to get a lot of suburban women's support. And by the way, Trump's main Republican opponent in the primaries warned about that, Nikki Haley, who's also, by the way, of South Asian descent. And Nikki Haley warned her party that, look, the first political party to nominate for the presidency a woman is going to have tremendous advantages in that election. And this is something that, of course, the Republican Party failed to pay attention to. Today, if the Republican Party were being led by Nikki Haley versus Kamala Harris, it would be a totally different game, both in the outreach to minorities, but also, perhaps more importantly, the outreach to those suburban women that the president, whoever wants to be president, needs to carry.
So it's very interesting that a weak vice president became the candidate in such important elections. Now, finally, final question from me to you is, who do you think is going to be her running mate?
Great question. There are three leading candidates right now, Governor Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania, Governor Roy Cooper of North Carolina, and then also Senator Mark Kelly from Arizona. Probably the best candidate would be Mark Kelly from Arizona, a swing state. He also, is a former astronaut, commands a certain gravitas, has the air of being in the center, a moderate, and could probably be a very good balance to her. But at this point, we really don't know who it's going to be.
Well, it's going to be a very interesting couple. Sir, thank you very much for shedding light on the situation. Thank you for joining me.
I'm delighted. Thank you.
And thank you for watching World Talks. Stay with TVP World for more news and comments.